What's up YouTube, it's your boy Nash here. Welcome back to the channel. Now before we get started with this week's episode of WWE's Biggest Issue, the road to 200 subs has now come to a close, and we are now at the halfway point to 500 subs. You heard me right. Right now, we are 246 subs away. 246 subs away right now from reaching 500 subs, and who knows, maybe, just maybe, we might hit 500 subs by the end of the summer. Excuse me, only time will tell, but as I have said in previous videos, excuse me, if this channel does get to 500 subs, I'm opening up this first edition, this Korean LOB booster box in its entirety on the channel that I got from my partners over at Collector Store. So be sure to check them out. Excuse me, link and address will be in the description below. By checking them out, not only does it support them, it also supports the channel, and I would greatly appreciate it. On the hopes to potentially pull a Blue Eyes White Dragon, a Dark Magician, a Red Eyes Black Dragon, a Piece of Exodia, Monster Reborn, Pot of Greed, the possibilities are out there. However, if this channel gets to 1,000 subs, I am opening up this first edition Toon Chaos box in its entirety on the channel that I got from my partners over at Collector Store, on the hopes to potentially pull a collector's rare out of the set, much similar to what I pulled out of my Genesis Impact box that I opened up last year, which is this beautiful Beat Cop from the Underworld. This thing looks absolutely amazing, you guys. But with that being said, if you guys want to see these boxes get opened, maybe you guys want more episodes of WWE's Biggest Issue, maybe you guys want more episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh's Biggest Issue, deck profiles, card discussions, WWE topic videos, or maybe, just maybe, you guys want some premium live event predictions and results. Well, if you guys want all of that and more, my channel is the place to be. So if you guys are new to the channel, and I know that a lot of you guys are, because more than 80% of you guys are watching the content. Actually more than that, more than 85% are watching the content, but you guys have not even subscribed. And to top it all off, we got to get more women to watch the content as well. So if you guys are watching the content, you like the content, and you want more of the content, excuse me, but you guys have not subscribed as of yet, then make sure you guys do indeed subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, smash that thumbs up button. Sorry about that. I had to fix something on the iPhone. Anyway, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, smash that thumbs up button and on this video, and as always, make sure you guys are following me on all of my social media. All of my ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And with the fallout of both Money in the Bank and Heatwave this past week, and NXT Heatwave this past weekend, and with the announcement that Bad Blood will be making its return for the first time in over 2 decades, the question of the day is this: what match would you guys like to see take place at Bad Blood, and should the PLE Bad Blood be the new home for the match type Hell in a Cell? Let me know down in the comments below. And for this week's episode, we are going to be talking about the 5 matches that we need to see on the card for Bad Blood on October 5th. Now, interestingly enough, when you look at the match type Hell in a Cell, you have to think about one thing, and that thing is bad blood. The funny thing is that this year's PLE Bad Blood is going to take place on Saturday, October 5th. And ironically enough, the first ever Hell in a Cell was actually at Bad Blood on October 5th, which featured Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker. And crazy thing is that when you look at the different versions of Hell in a Cell, the original cell was 16 feet high and weighed over 2 tons. And it's been replaced by a more robust version, which now is 20 feet tall and weighs over 5 tons. And it's interesting because there have been a total of, get this, 52 Hell in a Cell matches, with I think at least 5 of them having featured women, actually. In fact, I believe, let me scroll down here. The very first ever women's Hell in a Cell was actually at the PLE Hell in a Cell on October 30th, which was for the Raw Women's title. The second one was, I believe, Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks. Then we had Sasha versus Bayley. So and then of course and then of course we had Bianca Belair versus Bayley as well. So there have been about 4 of them. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. 4 women's Hell in a Cell matches. So that's pretty cool. So what I find so unique is that they're actually bringing it back for the first time in over 2 decades. And the last time we had Bad Blood was back in, I believe, 2004, if I remember correctly. Let me see here. Give me a second. Bad Blood. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I thought so. So there were three different Bad Blood events. Was there? Yeah. There were actually a few bad blood events. I think 3. Yeah, there were 3. There was the first one, October 5th, 1997. Then of course we had June 15th, 2003, and June 13th, 2004, which were both Raw exclusive pay-per-views at the time. So this will be the 4th Bad Blood in history, and this one will take place inside the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, or as I like to call it, Cody Country. Yes, Cody Rhodes, Atlanta, Georgia, Cody Country. You can never go wrong with that. But with this week's episode, I'm gonna be talking about the 5 matches that we need to see on the card, and some of them, and out of every single match that you would expect to take place at Bad Blood, these 5 might just shock you. So we're going to kick things off with probably the most obvious and that is Alba Fire and Isla Dawn defending the women's tag titles against Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. The interesting thing about this idea is that Jade and Bianca lost those titles just a few weeks ago at Clash at the Castle in Glasgow to Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, which was actually a triple threat that featured Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler, in which Jade and Bianca, they were never even involved in the decision to begin with, so that made them pretty much collateral damage at this point. So now, so logically speaking, the question becomes, are we going to see the rematch? Will Jade and Bianca demand their rematch for those women's tag team titles? And the answer is yes, because obviously they are 100% owed a rematch for those tag team titles, and I can almost guarantee that if we don't get that match sometime between now and Bash in Berlin, then we're definitely going to be seeing it sometime between Bash in Berlin and Bad Blood. So I could totally see this matchup taking place. But next up we have another one that I feel like is kind of ironic, but it's also the most obvious. LA Knight, Logan Paul for the United States title. Obviously, Logan Paul had been ducking and diving away from LA Knight for the dumbest reasons possible, and I feel like as if now that Money in the Bank is in the record books with what happened at Money in the Bank, I can almost guarantee that we might end up seeing Logan Paul defend that title against LA Knight, potentially at Bad Blood. Obviously, yes, there had been a lot of chatter that he could be defending the title at SummerSlam in Cleveland against LA Knight, but we don't really know for sure. And knowing Logan Paul, he might want to do it, but think about this. He took to social media months ago. I think it was right after the Royal Rumble, and he said that he was gonna see this as a full-time thing, which honestly between him and Roman Reigns, I think I would prefer Logan Paul over Roman, because when you really think about it, Logan Paul uses his social media to actually cut promos, where as opposed to Roman, he didn't really do a whole lot of promo cutting at all. So when you think about it, the difference is pretty much night and day. And I feel like if Logan Paul doesn't defend the title at SummerSlam against Knight, then it's either going to be at Bash in Berlin or Bad Blood, one or the other. And I feel like if there was one championship that LA Knight could definitely get his hands on, it is definitely the United States title. But you also have to factor in the fact that Santos Escobar had injected himself into this whole situation, which dates back to last year's Money in the Bank in London, England. So it's gonna be interesting to say the very least. But next up, you want to talk about Hell in a Cell? This one deserves it. Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa. Enough said. Just enough said. I feel like as if the way I see it is this: if Roman truly doesn't come back, then we're pretty much guaranteed for SmackDown to end up in failure, because now that Roman Reigns is no longer champion and Cody's the champion now, one could argue that if he does come back, he might not target Cody Rhodes. He might end up targeting Solo, simply because of the fact that Solo was the one in Madison Square Garden that said, "MSG, acknowledge me. I'm the new head of the table. I'm the new tribal chief. Roman ain't shit." Literally, this is a shot to Roman Reigns saying, "You want me? Come and get me." Come, literally, Solo telling Roman, "Come, blah, 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 blah." I cannot speak. It's my autism. I apologize, guys. Telling Roman Reigns saying, "Come at me, bro. I want a piece of your ass." Literally, that is what Solo Sikoa is saying. And I think for this match to take place inside Hell in a Cell would be justified, because all the chaos that surrounded Roman Reigns, that surrounded Jey Uso and Paul Heyman and the Bloodline altogether, and involving Kevin Owens and Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes, all started inside Hell in a Cell. And I feel like that the only way that all of this could get resolved is by being locked inside Hell in a Cell. But will we ever see it? I doubt it, but only time will tell. But next up, we have Chad Gable versus Uncle Howdy. Yeah. Yeah, this one was actually kind of up for debate, because I was kind of thinking I would do Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley inside Hell in a Cell, but the thing is that there's been a lot of chatter that Rhea Ripley is almost at 100%, and she never needed surgery to begin with, and that she's ready to go. So ideally, if she is ready to go and she does come back to Raw potentially tonight, then we're pretty much set on Ripley versus Morgan at SummerSlam for the women's world title. So I think the idea of Uncle Howdy versus Chad Gable, I think would be better suited for a PLE such as Bad Blood, mainly because of the fact that if this rivalry actually does exceed beyond SummerSlam, and beyond Bash in Berlin, then odds are we're definitely going to be seeing Chad Gable compete against Uncle Howdy. And aside from the last few weeks or so, the last time we saw Uncle Howdy, he jumped off of a fucking tower inside the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. Yeah. Which ideally was the last time that we saw Bray Wyatt, excuse me, in WWE before his passing. And I think the only way that this rivalry could actually end for Chad Gable is facing Uncle Howdy at Bad Blood. But this final one is the most obvious. And if you guys watched Money in the Bank this past Saturday, then you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, Seth freaking Rollins inside Hell in a Cell. I don't even think I need to say anything, do I? I mean, this whole thing between these three men started last year at Survivor Series when Punk returned. Obviously, Rollins did not want Punk back in WWE at all, and neither did Drew McIntyre. And the interesting thing is that when you look at hang on, guys. Hang on, guys. So when you look at the rivalry between these three men, there's a lot of bullshit that goes on. Obviously, the rivalry between Punk and Rollins kind of dates all the way back to when Rollins was in NXT and was the first ever NXT champion, and they had that face off. And since then, yeah, they might have had a couple of matches here and there. But when you look at the rivalry between Drew and Punk, this goes back over a decade, actually beyond that. This goes way beyond that, actually. It actually goes back to when Drew McIntyre had started his first run in WWE, when he was known as the Chosen One, and he ended up becoming this arrogant dude who was entitled. Punk and from what I remember, Punk had believed that Drew McIntyre wasn't the guy, and funny enough, he was right at that time. But now McIntyre is pissed off because of the fact that he got screwed out. He got screwed over by being eliminated from the men's Royal Rumble match earlier this year. He got screwed out of becoming World Heavyweight Champion at WrestleMania via the Money in the Bank cash in. He got screwed in at Clash at the Castle, and this past Saturday he got screwed again by CM Punk. And I feel like if we don't get the match between Punk and Drew at SummerSlam, then at least for the most part, at least give us Seth Rollins and CM Punk, and then have Drew McIntyre get involved in this whole situation, which would then lead to those three men being locked inside Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood. Could we see it happen? Only time will tell. But on that note, that will do it for this week's episode of WWE's Biggest Issue. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys want more episodes of WWE's Biggest Issue in the future, then make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and follow me on all of my social media. All of my ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.